Two groups of people were arguing fiercely near a small coal mine. They soon started fighting, and the side with the larger crowd had the upper hand. The disadvantaged party was beaten by many people and had no chance to fight back. At that exact moment, two big brown bears rushed down the mountain not far away. Seeing this, the superior side hid in the car, but the brown bears did not let them go. Rather, they surrounded the vehicle. In 2002, despite the objections of family and friends, John invested all of his savings from making business and some of the money borrowed from former business associates into the coal mining business. A month later, he finally ushered in his first batch of income. Then, John became a coal mine owner. The income was getting higher and higher, and John was getting busier and busier. One day, John came to the coal mine and looked at the beautiful mountain, suddenly full of yearning. He stayed there for half a year, but didn't appreciate the mountain. One day, John came to the coal mine to investigate again. He found that there was nothing wrong, and so he went up the mountain alone. John found a large rock and lay on it. The breeze was blowing, and John felt sleepy, so he fell asleep. Just after falling asleep for a while, John heard a loud roar. He sat up in fright, and his sleepiness disappeared in an instant. Suddenly, the roar sounded again. John looked toward the sound and suddenly became serious because it was like a bear's roar. Just as he was about to leave, the bear's roar became more apparent, as if it was walking towards him. Am I really so unlucky? John was terrified. He did not expect that he would encounter such a dangerous thing the very first time he had come to the mountain in just 6 months. He didn't know what to do. The cry of the bear was getting closer. John frantically thought about what to do. Suddenly, John opened his eyes wide and he looked at the big tree beside him. John quickly began to climb the tree and held the trunk tightly with both hands, afraid of falling. They're coming! Soon, in addition to the roars, John heard clutter. For safety, John climbed up another section. Just as he climbed up, he saw a big brown bear running out. With excitement, John stuck his head out to look like a sloth. He saw a big brown bear running fast, with two little bears in its mouth. A loud roar drew John's eyes back. He saw a bigger brown bear chasing and roaring from time to time. He didn't know what was happening, so he guessed that the bear couple was quarreling. In fact, it was a female bear running in front and a male bear chasing. Since the male bear was in love with the female bear, it wanted to mate with it, but the mother bear already had a cub and refused. The female bear had rejected the male bear, so the male bear planned to kill the baby bear and force the female bear to mate with it. However, the female bear loved its cub so much that it would not agree, which made the male bear so angry that again it planned to kill the two cubs. Just as the male bear was about to hurt the cubs, the female bear found a chance to pick them up and ran away. The bear, who felt like he was being played, didn't give up. In disbelief from what he was seeing, John almost fell from the tree. He was so excited. Fortunately, he was very young, so he didn't fall all the way down. John's heart beat faster, and he gasped for breath to calm himself. By then, the male bear had roared and caught up with the female bear. So the male bear slapped the running female bear heavily. The mother bear rolled around on the ground, and the two cubs also flew out a few meters away. The male bear paid no attention to the female bear after hitting her, but instead rushed towards the cubs fiercely. The mother did not want the male bear to succeed, so it roared and ran toward the male bear. Soon, the female bear caught up with the male bear and slapped it directly. The male bear growled in pain and turned to fight the female bear. At that time, the two bear cubs approached. The male bear roared and sent the two cubs flying with a slap. Seeing the two cubs wailing in pain not far away, the mother bear roared again. It broke free from the restraint of the male bear, and then came to the side of the two little bears and kept roaring at the male bear. The male bear was not in a hurry. After the female bear escaped, it thought, it'll catch them sooner or later. The female bear, though, did not run away. It just kept roaring in a voice full of anger and despair. "Stop! Hurry up and run with your child! What are you doing?" This shout made both the male bear and the female bear startled. They all looked around and up curiously. It was John who had said that. He couldn't take it anymore, so he had shouted it, almost subconsciously. He regretted it when he shouted it because he had already felt them staring at him. The male bear roared, came under the tree, and stood upright. Its two front paws slapped against the tree trunk as if trying to get John off. But John didn't move at all, so it roared again. John breathed a sigh of relief when he saw this. He was very fortunate to have chosen a sturdy tree. The leaves kept falling, and he hugged the trunk again. The male bear had no choice but to deal with the mother bear and the cubs again. Surprisingly, the female bear did not escape with the cubs when the male had been trying to catch John. It felt like the male bear wanted to deal with it again, but it roared at John. John didn't know what it wanted to do. The male bear was also very puzzled. It did not expect that the female bear would dare to attack him, so it roared and it fired back directly. John was puzzled by this. He frowned as he watched the two bears continue to fight under the tree. That's when the female bear looked at John again and whimpered. And then it roared and ripped off the male's ear with the least possible effort. The male bear covered its wounded ear and screamed in pain. And the female bear broke free and ran into the depths of the forest again, and the male bear chased after it. As the mother bear left, it roared at John again as if pleading with him. Watching them leave, John seemed to understand. He immediately jumped down from the tree, picked up the little bears, and ran towards the coal mine. The female bear couldn't escape the male bear alone, so it tried to buy time for John to leave and hoped that he could save the cubs. John was running fast with one baby bear in each hand. By the time he got to the coal mine, he was exhausted and nearly collapsed. So John adopted the two bear cubs. At first, the two cubs weren't used to it, and they seemed to miss their mother. But they slowly took to being under John's attentive care. They seemed to think of John as their new mother. They followed John wherever he went, and they didn't want to leave. They even hugged his legs. They were so cute that John had to carry them all the time. He gave them nice names, Jinx and Rollo. A year passed as if it was nothing, and the two bears grew solid and fierce. But they were always naughty kids in front of John. It snowed heavily in the following year's winter, and many carnivores could not find food. So the wolves set their sights on John's coal mine. In that critical moment, Jinx and Rollo bravely faced the attack of the wolves. They kept John and the others by their side, and ever since, Jinx and Rollo were the patron saints of the coal mine. 3 years later, Jinx and Rollo had grown into adult bears. They spent less time in the coal mines and more time in the mountains. After all, they did belong to nature. Another 2 years passed, and more people were mining in Kunlun. And where there is interest, there will be conflict. One day, in 2007, John's coal mine was surrounded by Aaron, the owner of another coal mine. Aaron often created trouble because of his local identity. The reason he came this time sounded ridiculous. Since the sound of John's coal mine was disturbing their miners, he said that John should either fix the noise or get out of there. John was furious when he got the call. He thought they were being vexatious and arrogant. When they were arguing, John said something tough, and Aaron went straight to a fight. The miners of John's coal mine tried to stop them, but Aaron came prepared, so they fought fiercely, intensely. "Jinx! Rollo! Your master's about to be killed!" one of them shouted. Aaron and the others wondered if they had help. While they were puzzled, 2 big brown bears came running from not far away and let out an angry growl. At that time, Jinx and Rollo were now 5 years old and adult bears. Jinx and Rollo came and rushed straight to the crowd, beating Aaron and slapping him away. Watching the injured John, Jinx and Rollo picked him up and roared. Jinx, Rollo. That's what he instructed. Someone pointed at Aaron. Aaron was so frightened at the time that he hurriedly got into his car. Jinx and Rollo came to the car and slapped the car with their palms, and the windows cracked like cobwebs, and Aaron shivered inside. Everything in the world has cause and effect. Sometimes you don't necessarily get good things when you do good things, but you can't get bad things either, right?